Hi guys, it's Lisa, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. And I am today just showing, I made a tarot guidebook for this deck, the Nicoletta Ceccoli deck. I got tired of, very tired of trying to use this little useless excuse me, guidebook, and I had to use a magnifying glass. It was just kind of a shame because the descriptions are good to read, they're fun to read, and it's just nice to have that information, but it's very frustrating to try to read this, which I cannot even with my glasses. So that led me to solve a bit of a problem and create my own guidebook. And I'd like to give a shout out to my YouTube friend at the Mad Witch, Giselle. Excuse me, Giselle was interested in seeing this, what I did with this and how I created this guidebook. And so I'm just going to do a little flip through, and it won't take very long, just a little quick description of what I did. I took an Alice in Wonderland hardcover book and basically took every card in this deck through the copier and the printer, and took the description, and I simply, adapted the book. I kept, first thing I did, of course, was to tear out the pages to alter the book. This book, just by the way, is not, I've got two copies of Alice in Wonderland. My other copy is a sentimental copy, and this one is just sort of a general one that I picked up. Excuse me. So I really didn't mind sacrificing it, so to speak. And I felt like Alice in Wonderland was a really nice match with this deck. It just, some of the cards remind me a little bit of Alice, but of course they're not all like that. But it just, there is some reminiscent parallels, I think, in the imagery here, and the story here, and the imagery here as well, in the illustrations. So anyway, the first thing I did, of course, was get rid of pages, and I got rid of quite a few. This isn't all of them, but I kept most of them. And I did that with the spine intact. And what I found is that by the time I put all of these copies of the cards and did my pasting, gluing and pasting, that it just became too thick, and it was like an alligator mouth, and the spine was being compromised, and the book just wasn't, it wasn't pleasant. Like, it just wouldn't lay flat. And so I thought, okay, well, so I decided to do the ring bound. So I just cut the spine off, let all the papers loose, and just did the 2-hole punch, so it was easy. Fairly simple. I didn't have to try to measure or anything. I just cut the holes. And voila, we have this book. And I just added the little strips of fabric. I saw that in someone's channel. I think it was Patty at Possum Patty. I think that's where I saw it. So thank you, Patty. And so I'll just do a little flip through now, just show you how this ended up, how it looks. I kept, these are the end papers, which I thought were really pretty, and I didn't do anything there. I didn't touch anything. I just changed the title page and made it into the guidebook page. And here I've just kind of, sometimes I'll find like a little quote in the pages that I like, and I'll just cut and paste them in periodically. And I should mention, I haven't really used the guidebook very much, or the deck, since I made this. So I absolutely love the deck, but I think I just got a little bit in creating this guidebook, I got a little bit, I guess, fatigued of this deck. And so I ended up kind of putting it aside for a while. And the guidebook as well, which means there's still a lot more I could do in here to embellish. But I just used what I had in hand that I thought related to this deck. So I'll just do a little, I'll just spread some of these out as we flip through the guidebook. And just to give you a look, in case you haven't seen this deck. It's been around, I'm sure most of you have seen it. And so I'll just do a little flip. Of course, I start with there's the spine. I kept the spine. And I should mention too, I just painted green and black on the cover and did some scraping off because the original cover is pure red. So I just kind of adapted the colors to suit the deck a little bit better. I think that turned out nice. Not Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. This is just a little tuck. And I started with the tarot guide introduction that is written by Nicoletta herself, the creator of the deck. So that's a nice way to start. And in the theory, I'll just read it because it does relate. I think after hearing it, you'll think, yes, it does relate to Alice in Wonderland, in case you're unfamiliar. In the ethereal world of dreams, everything we know in waking life can be turned upside down. Fish can fly, food can talk, toys come alive, and offer messages and portents. This is the dreamlike world you'll find in the art of Nicoletta Ceccoli. So, with that in mind, I start with the majors. And what I tried to do is, if there were illustrations on the pages that I wanted to maintain, I just worked around them, like these two. So yeah, the two ring binding works quite well. And one thing that's nice is I will be able to add more pages if I need to. When I was creating this, it was, you know, a little bit limiting as far as trying to leave space between the suits, for example, in case I wanted to do some journaling between the suits or about the suits. So you'll see that I've, you know, there's a few a few extra pages here and there, but I can change that and add more. I also intended to use this as a journal for draws with this deck and work with this deck, starting from the back, moving this way. And I think I started from the back again because I wasn't sure. I don't know why I did that, honestly. Don't try to explain it. But just for example, I just made a note here that I would work backwards and all the way back to here. That's the last page of the guide. Okay, so let's just keep doing a little flip. So yeah, you'll see I've maintained some of the illustrations in their full full scope, and some are limited, which I don't mind. I don't mind it when they get cut a little bit, depending on what the image is. I'm not fond of all of the images in Alice in Wonderland, so I didn't mind sacrificing a few. I hope you can see this. The light's a little bit dark today. And then I just did the court cards in their own section. I thought I would try that. It's a little bit different. So the suits are all mixed together, but the kings are all kind of together in one space. The queens are together So here's all the kings. And like, see, it's just a nice way. It presents, I think, quite beautifully in this book. And then we're to the queens. The knights. And then we're getting into the suits. And I think I was going to do a little description of each suit here, which I haven't done yet. And I start with knaves and go to ace, work down to aces. But I forgot about that. And the last 3 suits, I went the opposite way. So I went ace to knave. So anyway, the first suit of cups is starting with the knave and working down. And you'll see the typed, I should mention that. What I did is I typed all of the descriptions from this little guide. And I just simply, kept it on a very narrow margin and then printed it and cut it out and just pasted it in. So it was a little bit time consuming, but definitely worth it. Because now I can actually read what these cards are meant to be about. Now, this deck does somewhat follow the Rider-Waite system, but it's each card, it's still very unique to its own style. And so, like for example, 8 of Cups, inner turmoil, depression, clouded vision. So it's a little more simplified on the lower cards, the minors, but it's still somewhat familiar to what we see in the Rider-Waite. But because it is unique, I really did like to access the actual keywords after a while. I tried using it without the little teeny guidebook and just kind of made my own interpretations. But it's much nicer to have what was these meanings and what was intended by the creator, because they're slightly varied and unique to their own. Again, I do like how the parallels here, like on this page on the right side. And this deck probably, I don't think I'm alone when I say that it's a nice deck to use for inner child work. And that's essentially what I have used it for. But sometimes I pair it with other things and go a little more adult with it. So I'd like to do a little more of this kind of thing with illustrations. And like these are the turnips, there's the turnip. And just make the book a little bit more colorful. So I'm gonna continue to work in this when I decide to make it a priority, which who knows when I'll do that. But it would be nice to just embellish it a little bit more, make it a little more fun. And fun and mystic in a way, because some of these images aren't fun. They're just very interesting. Some of them are dark. And obviously with any kind of drawing or embellishments, I like to be consistent with that theme depending on which card we're talking about. Like look at this illustration on the right again is quite beautiful. And I had to find a place to put this. I didn't mind cutting off this bottom part. It was a little strange, so I think this works just as well, just the way it is. And that is the end of the suits. We end with the knave Oh, I think, oh, hang on. Nope, we haven't done the discs yet. Excuse me. So again, starting with aces, we're working our way up. And this time in the what she calls the discs. Love this image. I'd like to color that, give that a little bit of dimension. And for example, I'm not really sure why this page is in here. I guess it must have got mixed up. So anyway, I'll remove that later. 9, 10, and we end with the Knave of Discs. I did keep it so that this Christmas poem, Christmas greetings from a fairy to a child. I thought this was so pretty, and again, I think really in keeping with the style of this deck. So I wanted to keep that open so that I could still read it. It was hard to choose certain, like some pages I had to sacrifice and I didn't want to, but that's why I still have them all, and I can cut out if something really does resonate, maybe with a reading or with a specific card. I can still kind of use the original pages. So now we have Through the Looking Glass, which is the second part of second book in Alice in Wonderland. And so what I've done here is I've just left as much as I could of it. Just pages unembellished so far. And as I said, this will be the space for journaling. So when I do use the deck and pull cards, I will make a note of, you know, when I did this, what was going on, and, you know, just my impression of what the cards meant at that time. So it's kind of, you know how you journal different ways. Sometimes I'll just draw the cards out, like in a sequence. In fact, I don't think the creator gave a sequence. You know, sometimes they give you like different ways you can arrange the cards, but no, it's pretty bare bones. Any case. Yeah, so that's it. That's really it. And then I just kept, there's just some of the, you know, scraps, stickers, and then I still have like more stuff tucked away somewhere. But there's lots in here. I just thought I'd keep that all together so I could continue embellishing and using it as you know, just to make it a little more lively. And then we get to the back cover, which is exactly the same. You can just see a little more green than the front. And then it sits on the bookshelf quite nicely, just like that, with the back showing. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully Giselle was able to pop in. And Giselle, I hope you enjoyed that little flip through, and anyone else who's interested in this gorgeous deck and how to make a guidebook that works for them or for you. Bye for now, everyone. See you soon.